It's RT International. I do apologize for interrupting the regularly scheduled programming here, but we'll be showing you some live pictures right now as the head of Russia's Orthodox Church, Patriarch Kirril, is on his way to Cuba ahead of an historic meeting with Pope Francis on Friday. We're showing you live pictures here from a Moscow airport as he prepares to fly to Havana. This encounter between the heads of two major branches of Christianity will be the first since the 11th century. Now, the main topic of the discussion will be the persecution of Christians in the Middle East and other regions of the world. Again, these are live pictures right here as Patriarch Kirril is getting ready to leave Moscow on his way to Cuba for an historic meeting. So as we view members here of the Orthodox Church, as Patriarch Kirril is on the plane already, about to head to Cuba. Again, history is ultimately being made here. We're talking nearly 1,000 years since the two major branches of Christianity actually got together. So ultimately, history in the making here. Honestly, we were hoping that Patriarch Kirril would come out and make a few comments. Clearly, though, already in the plane, getting ready for Cuba. It is going to be a Friday meeting with his counterpart in Havana. RT will be covering that story. In the meantime here, live pictures from Moscow as Patriarch Kirril prepares to fly to Cuba. Well, you're watching RT International live from Moscow. Live pictures here from Vnukovo Airport. And Russia's Orthodox Church Patriarch Kirril on the plane now, about to head to Cuba, ahead of an historic meeting with Pope Francis on Friday. We understand it was a couple of decades that both members of the counterparts of Christianity were supposed to have a meeting. Apparently it got scuttled, it never occurred. So this meeting occurring on Friday will be the first since the 11th century. And of course, with the turmoil ongoing in parts of the Middle East currently, there are a lot of concerns about the persecution of Christians as well. And we understand the violence in the region. President Putin has said in the past that someone needs to step forward and protect Christians, not just around the world, but particularly in the volatile Middle East. Of course, Syria ongoing. We've heard and seen the stories of Christians facing persecution in Syria in recent months as well. One would imagine that Pope Francis and Patriarch Kirril will have an awful lot to talk about, considering the state of global turmoil, whether it's violence in the Middle East, whether it's the battle against jihadism and terrorism, or whether it is just a state of global economic collapse. Issues front and center for the two major religious leaders of the world of Christianity to get together in Cuba. So live pictures here on RT International. You can follow the story at rt.com as we're getting ready for this historic meeting inside the next 24 hours. Of course, as I was saying, with the violence in the Middle East and Syria, the slaughter of Christians in Syria at the hand of ISIL ultimately it prompted both branches of the church to seek reconciliation. And Christians of the world, as some are saying, should unite in the face of a common danger. And of course, that common danger in parts of the Middle East, whether it's Syria or Iraq or parts of the region, certainly there's a fair amount of religious tension, certainly in that part of the world. Many refugees trying to get out of Syria and other parts of the Middle East. Some of those refugees are Christians. The Russian president has said that part of the mission to help the Assad government in Syria to battle terrorism is also to protect members of the Christian faith, the Orthodox faith as well. And this was ultimately the call from the Russian church trying to make this meeting happen with its Christian counterpart, the Pope, meeting in Cuba, and this will be on Friday. And I'm sure all ears and eyes of the world and the media will be watching this encounter between the heads of the two major branches of Christianity. Like I said a few moments ago, the first meeting since the 11th century. And the two religious leaders will meet in Havana as the Pope is making his way to Mexico. In fact, the Russian church inviting, quote, all Christians to pray fervently for God to bless this meeting, that it may bear good fruits. In a joint statement, the two churches said the meeting would, quote, mark an important stage in relations between the two churches. Pope Francis on his way to various parts of the world, certainly Central and South America. Pope Francis will be going to Mexico after the meeting, the historic meeting, I should say, in Havana, with Patriarch Kirril in that airplane we're looking at right now, the Moscow region, Vnukovo Airport, and getting ready to head to Cuba. And one would imagine that when it comes to the religious circles of the world, considering the turmoil in the Middle East at the moment, certain groups need to come together. And as I mentioned a moment ago, the Russian church called for this meeting. The ultimate line here, the basic message, the Christians of the world should unite in the face of a common danger, whether it's the common danger of terrorism or the common danger of the persecution of the Christians. As we wait for the takeoff here, the launching of the airplane to Havana, Cuba, with the Russian Patriarch Kirril on board. Members of the Orthodox Church are standing just on the right side of that red carpet to say their farewell to the Patriarch as he goes to Cuba. We're not entirely sure how long he will stay in Cuba, but he will be meeting with Pope Francis, discussing the persecution of Christians, the violence in the Middle East, and what is ultimately a case of the jitters going around the world when it comes to the economic state. And we are ready for other news here on RT International.